He does not get email. And so our scheduling and how we notify him was a little mix up, and I apologize for that. So I thought Gail did, and I think she thought I did, and then I called Jerry today and he said, he has to take care of his wife today. So I sincerely apologize, and I will meet with him to go over anything from tonight. We need to give him a little bit more heads note.
I'll call this meeting of the December 17th CBA to order. Merry Christmas and welcome everyone. The first item is the roll call.
Alderperson Keene.
Here.
Don Niemer.
Here.
Alderperson Weigel.
Here.
Michael Suter.
Here.
Trey Myers excused. Richard Badger.
Here.
Wayne Clark.
Yes, I'm here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The approval of the minutes will be the next item from the October 8th, 2024 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any corrections, additions, changes? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes have been approved. We'll now move on to section D, matters for discussion. First is number 2, annual tax increment financing report.
So I'm sure you all read through the 60-page report on the TIF districts in our city. There are 12 open TIFs, 8 of them closed. In 2023, we closed TIF number 12, mainly resulting because of the DPW facility being built on that particular site. But if you looked at, just quick dashboard of our TIFs, what are they doing? I prepared this little dashboard that's in the TIF packet. Over 100 acres of land have been addressed in our city. We're 11 square miles. 100 acres is a lot of land within the city. If you think about it, being addressed, we have over 576 million in new taxable incremental value, both created and also projected within our TIF. So combined, that's going to be the relative influence of changing our local tax base. And then the big one is 5,200 jobs. Now, I'm going to point out a lot of those jobs were from the heyday of Summit Place when it was completely full, it was humming. We're going to leave it at that number because it did achieve that number. However, it is backfilling nicely, Summit Place, and they're bringing in additional jobs. And that continues to be a very, impacted because of COVID, but very viable development. That's TIF number 7. So one big thing that changed is the property tax law, or personal property tax law. Within, it's no longer assessed in terms of personal property. So that changed some of the base values within TIFs. You can kind of see the changes here. It's around a $6 million difference, but that's just the change because of that law. But we are made up with most of that money through a program through the state because of that change. And then, as I mentioned, nearly 576 million in incremental value. We continue to see property taxes, that generates around $13 million in taxes if you took that value. So, when these are all done and completed, it'll continually help our community grow. But one thing that does not get measured when you look at the numbers is the image that impact of change brings to our city. The West, the new apartment buildings, I constantly hear West Allis is moving, things are changing. It's something that's not measurable, but it also attracts what you're seeing besides the TIF or development is all the new businesses moving in. People are excited, they want to be part of that, and other businesses. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those in closed session a little bit later. Of the open TIFs, so we have, I don't know what you want me to do. I think you all have the report. I wasn't going to go individual by individual, but I'd like to just hit a high note thing that we can achieve within the next year. So TIF number 6, which is Juneau Highlands. If we go back to the history of that site, it was a junkyard. It was also they made lime. That white area is not snow. That was the byproduct lime on that site, and it was redeveloped. And today is Glen Reeder. That TIF is reaching its end. It was established in 2004. It has a small remainder amount of debt. And per our discussions with our finance department, and I think we've had an internal discussion about it, we're looking at possibly using TIF number 7, which has a fund balance of nearly almost 8 million, to maybe pay off this debt as a donor. And that way we can close TIF number 6. That's one idea. And again, here's TIF number 7. It's been used as a donor before. It's a very successful TIF. We do have other projects in there, but the clock is ticking. And the opportunity to do this is within the next year. And then the home juice site. Now, going back to the home juice site, it's on 113th, just south of Greenfield Avenue. It was a site of, we call midnight dumping. There was a residential house and there was an old bottling plant that was home juice. That was on that site, and somebody dumped some chemicals right along the property line. So we did the environmental cleanup and created a TIF to get that done. The owner also, when they sold the property, paid for some of that cleanup. But we always knew it was gonna be a challenge performing TIF. So when you look at the value on there today at almost 1.3 million, it's actually listed for sale today at 1.3 million. So in terms of being able to pay off the remainder, 254,000, we're recommended to use another donor TIF to pay that off and then close this TIF. There's no other growth that's gonna happen in this. There might be some occupancies, higher rents, but it's not gonna be substantial enough to pay off that remainder balance. And that TIF I would recommend using is TIF number 10. That's the yellow freight that also has no remaining expenses and is starting to generate a surplus and has enough increment to pay off any remaining expenses and use the surplus to pay off the home juice site. And that, well, finance and our team met and reviewed that, and I do have a communication, I think it's in here. Jason, he was unable to be here tonight. Jason, our finance director, sincerely apologized. It's his son's birthday, and I said, that's more important, but he did send an email to me talking about what we can achieve by closing those 2 TIFs. It's a relatively small amount of debt to pay off, and we can close those 2 TIFs, and then it helps have us more capacity to do other future TIFs in the future.
But you're not looking to use 7 to pay off 13, you're looking for 10 to pay off 13?
I would use that. He probably would prefer to use 7 because there's more money there and just be done. One of those we'll look to do, but I wanted to see what your thoughts were on possibly closing those 2 TIFs.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, as an alderman, we've been hearing a lot of the shift from the tax burden following residential versus commercial. And now we're bringing a bunch of new stuff back onto the tax roll. With this, if this happens though on January, anytime next year.
We would do it at a future, probably January, February meeting on the CDA.
So.
And then it goes to council.
Then it goes to council. So it wouldn't affect next year's tax bills?
I'll leave that to Jason. I think,
Well, why isn't he here?
I'll get that answer to you tomorrow, but I don't know if I think it will affect next year because it'll be valued, would be taxable.
Yeah, but is it the value as of January 1st? I mean, the properties are always taxable, it's a matter of where the money goes.
Right,
That's,
might be the next year.
yeah. It'd just be like another answer to the question for what are we doing for people's taxes?
Right. I think the size of these are not gonna influence too much of a change.
Not much, no, but
Yeah.
we can still say,
They're closed.
closed.
yeah, they're closed, yeah.
Correct. The one thing to note on the, swing back, on the TIFs, and then we can be finished with this particular discussion, is the change in terms of the mill rate and how it has reduced taxes generated to pay down debt in TIFs. Yes, it seems like with the reval and everything, but there was a shift towards residential. So that means a lot of our other developments, which are commercial, actually saw their taxes actually go down.
Yeah.
Which then does not help our TIFs because that means there's less money paying them. to pay
Yes,
off.
their increment is lower.
Yes. So like a good example is within the market TIF, which is the 6 Points area, the Aurora Clinic. It went down $4 million in value. And that's just because of the changes in,
Personal property.
probably some of that, and also,
Market.
the market. In terms of the office and medical buildings.
Wouldn't you think office and medical would be a separate segment of the office building? Because
Not,
I gotta think most of the stuff that happens in that can't be done from home.
right,
Patients
wanna-
have to go there.
that's a wormhole that can go like this on that discussion, because it's a credit, everything, but it's the building.
I guess it is just a building when it comes down to it.
Right, we have one sitting on National Avenue that's still,
Yeah,
for sale in terms of a medical building, so in comparison, that's where the market is.
Yeah.
And that does get factored in, so. I'd gladly answer any questions about TIFs or their performance or thoughts. Overall, it has changed our landscape, and it continues to be our #1 tool to be able to attract development to our city.
you touched on it, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
The spin-off benefits, not only do we have these new apartments and these new offices, but I don't think our downtown would be as vibrant as it is. I don't think we have the shops on Beecher that we do. I think we've been able to draw a lot of new businesses and a lot of new residents with our TIFs, and residents with wallets, so, yeah. I think it's the last 20 years has been, when did we start with TIFs? More than 20 years ago.
Correct, it was in the 90s.
Okay.
The TIF #1 was Vets Park, would have been in the 90s, which is
Oh, yeah.
pretty much the 70th Street corridor
All
into our
those strip
city.
bars, all those bars
It
over
was,
there?
no, there were some industrial properties that were heavily impacted in terms of environmental,
Yeah.
and I think that's where it's an Ascension today. It was Columbia St. Mary's little medical building, and then there's Tri-Cities back office.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then
Well,
on the
further
other side,
north is
put
Columbia.
Blocky sign, which we'll talk a little bit later, and then it was C&H distributing, but and then there's, Dynamic, the warehouse building across from Summit Place as well,
Yeah.
which had significant impacts in terms of environmental, going back to Alice Chalmers and all those industrial uses, but today, it's more of a nice corporate gateway into our city. A true transformation, and I think Wayne probably can go back to sharing some of the war stories on that process. Am I correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So we covered 2 and 3 on that discussion. So would you be in favor of the donor?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What was the reason for splitting, taking donations of 2 different TIFs?
I was just, didn't wanna use everything from TIF #7.
Okay.
Trying to use another success of TIF 14. 10.
So we're finished with 2 and 3?
Yeah.
So the next.
You need a
sec-
consensus on 3?
No, I think
Yeah,
I see the head
consensus.
bobbing, and I see a directive,
Yeah.
and that's enough for us to prepare the next steps. We'll probably start with a discussion with others, make sure the process is all, and then lay out a schedule and make that process happen.
The next item is number 4, resolution to approve a National Avenue Commercial Corridor Code Compliance Loan in the amount of $8,500 for the establishment of an entertainment venue at 6325 West National Avenue.
I'll move approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I can hit the high notes on this one. Mr. Chair, this is 6325 West National Avenue. Bars and Recreation is a known entertainment tavern type of business that's through the Metro Milwaukee area. They bought this a few years ago to lay the groundwork. It was vacant, it was an industrial use, really in bad shape. They did the environmental, we partnered on a SAG grant application to help get the site investigation done, and that was paid for through the state of Wisconsin. The CDA also approved a roof grant back in the early stages when she bought the property because the roof was leaking. So I'll preserve the building. And then we also provided technical assistance to help with, when they did National Avenue, the sprinkler pipe was put in. They all privately paid for, they paid for that. And now they're about to do $1 million renovation of the property. And what slowed this down is they got involved in the Punch Bowl Social down by Pfizer Forum. Took that over and wanted to get it ready and operating during the Republican National Convention. Successfully got that rolling, and now they're went through plan commission, have all their plans approved, they haven't, released what the theme is for this venue, it will be unique. But, you can see Marlon Pointinger is the lead of that business, and they are looking to make a significant change here, and it plays in with the idea of what we're trying to do in the 6 Points area is bring destinations, get more people coming there, and you have residents, now you have a place to go, like Opery and this venue, and it'll be a nice destination. I think we have the floor plan there, they can kind of see it almost looks like a bowling alley, but it's not, but it's, I have alleys of that nature.
And this
Do
is
they
a
hope to be
forgivable
open?
loan, right?
Excuse me?
When do they hope to be open?
I think by late fall.
This is a forgivable loan?
This is a forgivable one because the bathrooms are all out of compliance. They will probably be applying for our other National Avenue programs. We're just waiting for some more bank information. We wanna see that bank commitment from Old National, that's who the lender will be. And they are working through some things with the SBA right now, so.
Any further discussion? We have a motion, we have a second. Those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. This is certainly going to be a major improvement over Gas Tech.
Yes, and there might be some actually little fun thing on the side of that building, stay tuned.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, little, it's like stay tuned at 10 o'clock news.
It's called the tease.
Yeah.
My wife does the same thing.
Yeah.
The next is number 5, resolution to approve the purchase and sale development agreement, development finance agreement, and public space agreement with 6 Points Square LLC for the redevelopment of the 6400 block West Greenfield Avenue.
Just, Mr. Chairman, for clarification, this is the former Spotlight Lounge. Fridays, it's actually, you've actually taken this up. I'm actually bringing it back. There's a couple little minor changes, and I want you to be aware of those changes. Again, they're planning to start demolition here. They're supposed to close this Friday. Everything is signed. I have everything upstairs ready to go, subject to your vote tonight. The CSM is upstairs, all approved. The thing that changed in the development agreement go to the next slide. Just, you can see it in blue, where it's success sharing. Now, this isn't like the Mandel or Land by Label or 3-leaf type of developer. It's a smaller personal developer. So when it came to that cost sharing and savings, all that, it means a lot to his bottom line, be able to get this $7 million project going. It doesn't have the capacity like some other developers
He doesn't
have.
have 5 venture
So-
capital partners.
Yeah, he has a lot of investors in the
We do.
project. And if you look, you can go back. So the cost sharing, we had it at 15% IRR. It is still 15% IRR, but anything over 15% is split 80-20. And then over 18%, it would be 50-50. So it's just a little tweak in terms of what it was and what it is now, or 60-40. And then the cost savings provision that says 50-50, it is 50-50, but if you look at how the TIF performs and the projections, we had a change in the projection. His goal is to get to 1.6 million of increment to help underwrite his project. We're projecting, we were like just a little short, and he's asking if it doesn't hit that, can we use that cost savings when it's in the TIF to pay that difference? And I said yes. And that was pretty much it. And other than that, he's working through Fort Bank to close later this week. Now, we did do the environmental, the phase 2 came in finally this last Friday. There is some fill material under that park that is into this development, and they did come back with, it's a low level impact, but enough that you have to inform the DNR. So we're hoping it doesn't impact the closing. We may have to do a remedial action plan and maybe some vapor testing. The DNR is being very particular about vapor.
Oh, yeah.
I think you've seen the headlines.
Those residential areas in Milwaukee.
So could that impact? Yes. I'm like I said, we're ready to close, but if the bank gets cold feet on that report, I just wanted you to be aware it could take a little longer than expected. At this point, it's just paper. like, you submit it and this is our plan, but that could take 60 to 90 days for the DNR just to approve that, so.
What was the use of the park before the park? Do you
I
know?
think it was a commercial bakery building, it was a blighted property, and then I think somehow the county tore it down and then gave the land to the city. And on that land, there was a deed restriction. And that deed restriction said anything, if the city made over $11,500 on the property, that we would have to pay money back to the county. And it's this, they went back and they found this in the 1970s, and the minutes said that they didn't want West Allis getting rich on the property. So I just.
We have a great,
It
No,
seems like,
no.
relationship with
Did
the
not
county,
have
don't
that.
I don't think that discussion has changed since.
we? Yeah.
But we have a great working relationship these days in terms of the economic development team. But that was a county supervisor saying that back in those days, and she was sharing and laughing about it. And I said, we're selling it for $1.
Yeah.
So
We didn't get rich.
yeah, so that was one of the deed things on that property, which we didn't know until that was run.
Yeah, so you did.
So,
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Patrick, the prior item was a resolution, this is a resolution, does that require a roll call vote? I forgot. I thought
Yes,
so.
I'm sorry.
Correct?
Yes.
So we'll take this one first.
Number
And we have
four.
a motion and a second on this resolution. Will you call a roll?
Item 5, are we doing or 4?
We're doing 5 right now.
Okay. Wayne Clark,
Yes.
Richard Badger,
Yes.
Jared, Mike Suter,
Yes.
Don Niemer,
Yes.
Artie Weigel,
Yes.
Anna Keen.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We'll step back to number 4 just to correct the record, and as a result of being a resolution, we had a motion, we had a
Yes,
second. So will you call the roll? And
Any other discussion or anything? Wayne Clark,
yes.
Richard Badger,
Yes.
Mike Suter,
Yes.
Don Niemer,
Yes.
Alderman Weigel,
Aye.
Alderperson Keen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Number
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6, discussion on Community Development Authority 2025 meeting dates.
I put this on the agenda just because we're usually the second Tuesday of the month. And this year, we've had conflicts with elections, and it continues into next year. And there are a number of council meetings that were moved into the second Tuesday. We have, I think, 5 months with conflicts on this date. So I'm asking if the CDA wants to change it to our meeting to either the first or second Wednesday of the month. And I mean, if we get later, then we might have other conflicts. I think we checked other schedules to see if there were other boards or anything, and we didn't see any conflict.
Tuesdays worked awfully well for 25 years.
I know,
We could change those election
but the
dates.
reason why is there are parts of the month that, or some months that it's on the second Tuesday, then there's the next month, it's
Like
on the
January 14th, it'll be the second Tuesday,
February, and then it's back,
February,
and then it's back to Tuesday.
and then June.
And we have a council meeting January 14th.
Yeah, so it's kind of inconsistent, so that's why I was looking at a different day. I'm happy to entertain other days, but,
I'm either okay with
or we can be flexible if you want to
a
go.
Wednesday, or we just see what changes and what might work at the time, and we just keep it how it is, and a few times we have to change it, then we do.
Change it.
We prefer earlier in the week so that we can prepare things if necessary for council. You know, meetings, et cetera, but
I mean, I see your recommendation is Wednesday, I mean, Wednesdays are fine, any of those days are fine for me, so long as
It'll
it's on
happen 4
council.
times this year. 5.
do you have a preference?
I'm
Yeah.
fine with Mondays or Wednesdays
Yeah,
or,
Mondays or Wednesdays.
Okay. It seems like the first Wednesday might be the best one, or the second. That way you don't
I
have,
think Wednesdays would work the best if you're gonna change from Tuesday. Mondays, you got a lot of holidays,
Yeah.
oh yeah, good point.
you know.
okay. I need to just, we'll send an email out with a schedule for the year.
Would the first Wednesday be better? That way you can,
Yes,
you'd be prepping before council meetings.
yes.
Yeah. So you're gonna go with the first Wednesday?
Mhm. Thank you. There will not be one on the first Wednesday of January.
I was gonna say, we're not meeting on the first, right?
No. I just looked overnight. We're not meeting the first one. Thank you.
Item 7, discussion on 6901 West Beloit Road and the proposed construction of a single-family home.
Mr. Chairman, this is actually a kind of an interesting discussion, but I wanted to give you some framing on how do we bid out the house on this site.
Mhm.
I think you'll be shocked when I give you the total. We came in at $420,000 to build the house that we built multiple times. We got the same contractor bidding on it. So we called them and said, what are the differences? And why did it go up? Underground work, basement work, all the smaller contractors that were a little bit more affordable prior to COVID retired. So now there's different people, younger, that want to work the evening hours to do the work or fill in, the extra jobs to get, work done. But I wanted to give you that in perspective. So if we go back here to the home limits, let me go back a little bit. So when you think of the home program, we get home dollars to create affordable housing. It can be done in rental, it can be done in ownership, it can be done to rehab existing housing. Or it can also build new housing that's affordable as well. So if we look at the subsidy limit on the right-hand side, it says new homes, a 1 unit, that's a 1 unit house, that's just a house. The value limit per HUD is $334,000. Okay? If you look at the home
That's the
subsidy limit,
assessed or the construction costs?
it just, there's nothing, it's just value. I think it's probably assessed value.
Okay.
Home per unit subsidy, that's the amount of home funds that can go into a project to build. So a 4-bedroom house, which is what we bid, is $359,000. So of course, the response is over the subsidy limit for the most home funds we could put in are $359,000. So let's put this into perspective. You can keep it. And as we were talking to the contractor, because you guys might be a little shocked on some of this discussion. The income limit for a home house for a 4-family is $81,700. So our usual measurement on this is 30% of that number is the amount you should devote towards your housing expense. That's 24,000 divided by 12, like 2,000 and some change per month in terms of mortgage payment, taxes, etc.
That's more than my mortgage. Okay.
Yeah, mine too.
Okay?
I'm sorry, what's a mortgage?
Jerk.
So here's the house that we bid. We bid this house before. So, what's changed? Let's look at some numbers in perspective. We keep flipping. So this house is on MLS. We built this one in 2015 using home funds. Exact same house that we bid. There's an accepted offer on this one today of around $322,000. We built it in 2015 for $275,000. We sold it for $125,000. And the assessed value on it today is $242,700. You can see the taxes. I just wanted to put that in perspective, that it's really transforming a neighborhood. What we took off this site was just a shoebox of a house that was recessed way back on the alley, and it was like a 1-bedroom, kitchen. It was like I don't know, it was about to fall over. It was just a little shack of a house, and we bought that lot and built this house. And you can see the transformation that did. Keep flipping. This one on National Avenue, many of you see it. In perspective, the costs might change a little bit. Like this one, we had a whole side driveway. In terms of, that's a lot of extra concrete. Construction cost was $360. That was right during COVID. We had trouble getting cabinets, getting materials. We sold it for $197 to a veteran. The house that you can see that it was purchased had a roof that was caving in. There were raccoons living in the attic. It was deplorable inside. In fact, I think this is one of the other ones that I had to go home and take a shower after. It's just, reached just like mold and all that in the property. Assessed today at $268,000, pays $5,400 in taxes. So if you look at the cost of construction and what we sold,
There's always been a big gap.
there's always been a big gap, but the gap is actually, if you've gone to new, if we can get to the $300,000 value on a sale, our gap would actually be smaller at $420,000. So we were thinking, how do we proceed? And our goal with this home funds was to create an affordable house. Now, this is the big issue, that's what 100%. No one's building houses, because you just saw what the market is. 322,000 is accepted on something that's built, and it costs you more than that to build it. So that's why we get the home money to create affordable housing, because it costs more to build than you can get for it in the market. So that's why we get it. Now, it'll cost us more than the subsidy limit per home. And we closed TIF number 9 a few years ago to, you have money, 300-some thousand set aside to either create affordable housing, a percentage, and some to improve the housing stock. My recommendation would be to continue, build a single family house and market it, and then bridge that gap with the money that we set aside to improve the housing stock in West Allis from TIF number 9. That would be our recommendation. I know the numbers it's hard to palate, but I just showed what the market is doing on the properties, and it's very interesting. I welcome any thoughts.
Mr. Chair, I have a couple
Yes, sir.
of questions and comments. We don't do any kind of Habitat for Humanity stuff with sweat equity. Is that, I've been watching a project in Waukesha on a bike path that has been struggling for 3 years.
We've talked to them, but I think there's so much, there's a Habitat for Humanity in Waukesha, and there's a Habitat for Humanity in Milwaukee. And they're very swamped with the demand they have in their two areas.
And our goal here is to stabilize the neighborhood with essentially single-family homes.
Single family home,
If
owner
someone-
occupied.
If someone were to build a duplex there, would that come closer to cash flowing, and we do a deed restriction where it has to stay, one of the units has to stay owner occupied? Can we do that? Would it do, I mean, we didn't
I didn't
price,
do any of that.
we didn't price duplexes.
I didn't price a duplex. You
Yeah.
can go out to rebid a duplex. They have to go get plans for that,
Yeah, I know.
or
We
just
have-
put
we
out a
have this
request.
house- We have this house already with buildings.
We put out a request with the specified what the wishes are of the CDA, and
Yeah,
see who comes back with a response.
yeah. And, would a 4-family,
That was I think when we asked that, we were approached about multifamily here in the direction when the CDA was
and
not,
we kind of said no.
no.
You know, cause that is a kind of a commercial corridor. Further west, there are bigger, there's 4 families and stuff.
We also got approached by people who just wanted to buy the whole lot for a single family house.
Yeah.
But that's because there's a demand for land and.
So you're saying that somebody has already approached us to buy the lot to build a single family home?
A neighbor asked if they could buy it, but they didn't tell what they
Oh,
would
okay.
pay.
It was just a neighbor being curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we could put a for sale sign up. But then it doesn't mean it's gonna solve the question of creating an affordable house.
Right.
It'd be market price then.
Yeah. And if we don't spend this money on this project,
I mean, home can be used.
for a lot of other things.
Like the Longfellow School, I mean,
Yeah.
that developer has reapplied for tax credits. That discussion could come back up. They've inquired about assistance and.
But I guess it would be good to just move this forward, get it back on the tax rolls, get a family living there.
That's kind of what I was showing with the other properties, is that.
Yeah.
They're paying taxes a lot more than what was there.
Yeah.
And it did these projects aren't doing what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
is there a restriction if we sell this that they can't turn around and, cause we're selling it for affordable housing at whatever cost, right? 100, what was
We
the,
can only have one restriction, and that restriction is on income.
so they could turn around, purchase this for a lower amount and then turn around and sell it for,
Well, HUD has some questions about building equity, we have like a 5-year commitment that the person lives there. But we also have a deed restriction that they have to sell to somebody who meets the income requirements.
oh, okay,
okay.
okay,
So that stays with the land for 20 years because of new construction. We cannot have that, and if you make equity on the property, or that you have to pay that back. We kinda got our hands slapped on that, because I did have both. I'll be honest, I think it's logical that, but HUD sees a perspective of building equity for a low-income person,
Don,
especially if we have the other restrictions in there.
Is there a scenario where
as I understand this, what comes from HUD is cost-free to the city.
Correct.
Is there a scenario that the value, the amount of the home that we can sell it for based on income restrictions makes up the difference between the cost of purchase and the HUD subsidy? In other words, is there a calculation there that makes it a break even to the city?
To get our money back that we put in?
So let's say it's $400,000 to
Right.
build. We get $300,000 from HUD. We're able to sell it for $100,000. So the city of West Dallas is out no money
We
on
could look at that.
on the sale.
Let me review that. Cause I think it would be equivalent, like, based on the total, if it's 420, that pro rata for whatever comes in should come back to pay back a portion of the money that
If
we
it could
put.
be a break even for the city
Right.
and we still achieve our goals.
Yeah, when we sell it, we don't have to pay HUD any of that money back. That's a grant. That's free.
It comes back, any income that comes back in from the sale goes into the home program income. So then we put that back out,
Right.
so it's recycled.
It stays in West Dallas.
Not necessarily. If we don't get the money out, our program income out the door and within, you have to use first, program income gets used first before any grant money. So we get allotted so much income, through our home consortium, or here's your entitlement, 200 some thousand. But you have to use any income that comes in first, and then you can draw down the grant. It's a accounting nightmare. So we've actually were successful and have not deployed all our program income. The county, who's the manager of it, has the right to use that program income and use it in their affordable housing projects.
Got a question.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about this property, but there's two lots.
There are
There's
two
houses on
lots,
that property,
yeah.
so if the challenges are facing this one, the next property is smaller.
The other one, we were just gonna put up for
Yeah,
sale
right.
and see if somebody wants to build a small home on it. It'd be a small, more narrow of a house.
Smaller than that house? Oh,
Yeah,
that's a 4-bedroom though?
The one that we're building is a 4-bedroom. It would be a smaller, narrower house.
and it's going like right to the corner.
Yeah.
So it's, so is there,
I was
is
gonna
there,
get
is
an
there an idea
example.
to concede some footprint from the smaller lot to this one? To make it more appealing if possible?
Yeah, or share some of the extra square footage with with a neighbor,
Right, yeah,
to make both of those lots more attractive.
I think the lot that we have is already at that limit of 30 feet.
Oh, okay.
So they're both narrower across the front. We'll look at that.
so we haven't necessarily talked about the numbers for the second lot.
Correct.
Yeah.
We were starting with one. But that's that's gonna be a lot of our money that we have, so. We have around 600 and some thousand balance of program income to be able to use.
If we build 2 houses at once, would we get a discount?
I have not, we've been, I didn't see any coupons.
Buy one, get one half off?
Does this plan have a garage?
Yes, it has a garage and a half that would come off 69th Street.
Okay.
A little apron. Anytime you put a driveway pad in, concrete cuts, those are expensive.
So then the second house,
Second house might not even have one.
Might not even have a garage.
No,
Or it would come off of Beloit, or
I don't think there's.
you build above the garage.
Yeah.
Like one of those you drive in and you have a little door and then the living area is above.
Is there anything else on number 7?
Interesting, I thought it was really interesting looking at the numbers.
We'll look to number 8 now, discussion of land by legal development at 107.
Seems like there's, on 7, you want me to go and do a little bit more research.
Yeah.
Yes, please. So land by label, next discussion.
Good news on land by label. We talk about all these, go through the TIF report, we talk about all these future projects, things happening. The developer closed on the property about 3 weeks ago. And I saw the construction trailer delivered out there today. And they're gonna start, rocking and rolling out there for construction of the multifamily building on the southeast corner of 70th and Washington. As you might recall, they purchased the property from Cobalt Development. And the plan is for, approximately 248 units, $73 million project. We think it's gonna sort of set its up a level even from some of the previous multifamily developments we've seen, and kind of present a nice visual in that corridor and provide a nice amenity, bring people close to our downtown. It's at the gateway of our downtown, really the gateway of our city off of 70th Street to the north. And then this is where our office center, Summit Place, is located. We have a lot of industrial space over there, so this is a great location to get some housing, get some new housing. So we're excited. They've shown us a few of the renderings of the interior of the space. It's gonna be very nice, high-end units. This is some of the shared space, the lounge area.
Two story shared space.
There's a
Like a golf simulator.
golf simulator. Yeah, it's gonna be really nice. Very, very nice development. There's just some direct walk-up units as well on the first floor. I think eight of them are direct walk-up units. And if you recall, the balance of the units on this are more catered towards like 2 and 3 bedroom units. A lot of the previous proposals and developments we've seen are in that 1 bedroom category. So it's nice to get a different type of development and get the density out of it that gets people living here and spending money in our downtown and adjacent businesses. We're very excited about that. You might recall 2 loans that we closed as part of it as well, with the help of great partners at the EPA and the DNR. And there's a little bit of TIF that went into it as well. So great partnership, and we're excited to see construction starting. We're looking at likely a groundbreaking in January sometime.
We usually pick the tropical season.
Yeah, I know.
When it's nice and easy to dig up all the big dirt.
The good
We
thing.
might have to truck dirt in.
Sean, thank you. Number 9, discussion on the status of Maker's Row.
We have a little bit more yet on that other item.
Just real quickly,
Number 8,
Apiary,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Just following the closing, we met with Cobalt Development to discuss, as you know, there's like several phases of this Alice Yards development, and this was really kind of the 3rd phase, this building, and now we were looking at the west side of South 70th Street, where the parkland is and such, and there's also some MATC owned land. I know Patrick has met with MATC recently, so we're trying to align everyone on the west side of the street and start to get that discussion going and where we can take off over there. So there's been a lot of visuals and concepts for the area, but it's a matter of lining up timing with MATC as they own a key parking lot in that area, and then making sure that works at the timing of Cobalt. So.
Just on MATC, I mean, their campus has evolved, things have changed, there's new leadership. It might go through a circular pattern. We might have to re-engage them again to bring back these discussions, as the new people aren't familiar with the prior discussions. There was a disposition study done by MATC, and how they met with the mayor and said they're fully engaged in this campus. They want to bring it back, increase enrollment, things like that. So they want to bring new energy, but that impacts the ability of the parkland, the parking. There's the one parcel that they did emphasize that would probably be put up for sale. We've been hearing this multiple years though, is the welding school building will be put up for sale, as well as the parking lot. That would be actually a very nice site for development, because it's close to our downtown. People could walk to places, another residential type of development there. And we'll see how they go about how they would sell that land, so.
I think the Gauge is using some of their parking currently, right?
To the north,
Yeah.
The MATC.
kind of where that green triangle is in that general area. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Number 9,
Closed session. Number
Closed session.
9, 10, 11, 12 is all in closed session.
So go on to the consideration relative to report on redevelopment from questions or issues either from the staff or from my colleagues on the CDA.
One, but I gladly answer any questions you might have, any other. The big one is M, 116th and Morgan. Relative to that parcel, we can, the new DPW facilities being under construction, walls are going up, there's great progress on that. There'll have to be some future discussions about the whole movement of leaf collection, refuse collection, spoils, storage, and things like that. In the meantime, Milwaukee County owns the land adjacent to 116th and Morgan. I think we've kind of talked about this before, kind of like that orange triangle area. There are some residential, but I just, for sake of perspective, I just created this orange rectangle. That was an old Alice Chalmers landfill. And there's a great grade difference and it's almost like rock outcroppings. The county put it out for RFP. I'm on the scoring committee. And the use would be a short-term type of use, but a landfill for low soil hazard soils. It'd be for 5 to 10 years. I think the end use is the county, Greenfield's use would be a park. I have to just confirm that yet. But which would be ideal for us, if that would become a park for 116th and Morgan potential redevelopment. But the grade and how these two sites marry together could be very important to what we can do on 116th. I just wanted you to be aware of that. I'm not excited about the potential reuse. There seems to be multiple, a low purchase price to the county, and then the developer gets the tipping fees for the soils to be put at the site, but it would definitely scrub the site, and what that final grade would be is really important to what, if it goes that much higher than our site, but also, it really comes down to the question of us, the city, be able to redevelop 116th and Morgan if there's an operating landfill next to it. It changes the whole marketing discussion.
Yeah. How long is it a landfill for?
It says on their proposal between 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
If there's an extension or all that, I think this might be worth a broader discussion. And I did share this internally. I wanted to share it tonight because I know there's been a lot of inquiries about future reuse of 116th and Morgan. I'd like to get it developed, but I think we also have some internal things we have to figure out, or we need to partner with Greenfield.
Yeah.
And figure out, okay, you have leaves here, we need to put leaves over here too. How can we adjust some of this land, or
Well,
do we tell,
share a health
or do we tell the
department
county, we'll buy that land?
relationship should be built and cohesive, hopefully. I mean, we share a health department. And we're doing the lifting on that. So I would hope that there would be some practicality of working together. And if not, let's throw it in their faces about what we all did for the health department.
Yeah, there is no representation on the committee from Greenfield. So that was interesting.
That's a problem.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, just share, there's a scoring meeting tomorrow on it, and I just, your inkling's like, we need to have more discussion about this.
Yeah.
Start having more open discussion on it.
So,
Do we need to develop 116?
You don't need to, but
Why
I think
wouldn't
the
we?
idea, the question.
Well, we don't compost our leaves currently, right? Other communities, Waukesha does that, and essentially, you need a lot of space for that, because it takes time, you mulch them, put them out in rows, and then they essentially give that compost to their residents.
Marty, it's Blue Ribbon Organics that comes and takes our leaves.
Yeah, but we don't do it.
We don't do it.
Yeah, and we pay them to do it,
Okay.
right?
That's-
So you
it's
wanna
more
do
of
a
a,
composting business?
I think that's more of a broader city discussion on that. I mean, our role here is to help facilitate development, but
Yeah,
I think we have to-
This is the CDA,
Yeah.
I understand.
not DPW.
Not the CA,
Yeah.
compost.
So it would take us time yet to get to that level of development, but if we wanted to grow our tax base, it's
Right,
ideal.
but I'm thinking if there's a landfill there for
And we're
10
screwed,
years.
then we might as well figure out how we can
If we can
utilize it.
compost, we could compost for 10 or 15 years
Yes.
probably. Yeah, my question is, we're not required by some sort of timeline with the county or anything.
Not that I'm aware of, but
We will move from composting to closed session. Agenda items 9 through 12, the committee may convene in closed session pursuant to the provisions of section 1985 of the state statutes for the purpose of deliberating the investment of public funds whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. This committee may reconvene in open session and after completion of the closed session, consider the balance of the agenda. Is there a motion to go to closed
Let's
session?
go into closed session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Just a roll call vote?
Yep. Wayne Clark,
Oh, okay, yes, sure.
Richard Badger,
Yes.
Mike Suter,
Yes.
Don Niemer,
Yes.
Alderman Weigel,
Yes.
Alderperson Key.
Yes.
Thank you, we're in closed session. We got Makers Road Development.
Well, I'm still waiting.
Recording on?
You have to hit it from up there.
Uh,
Yes.